May the words of my mouth and the meditation of our hearts be always acceptable in your sight, O God, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. Please be seated. For 3 weeks now, our Sunday gospel readings have focused on resurrection appearances, but not today. Despite the fact that we have reached only the middle of the great 50 days of Easter season, today's gospel is something like a flashback. We've been taken to a time before Jesus' death and resurrection, to a moment in which he speaks of himself and his intention. This gospel begins with Jesus saying, "I am the good shepherd." It's one of those 7 great I am sayings in the gospel according to John. Those words, I am, allude to the God of Moses, the same God who self-identified as I am. The Holy One said to Moses, when people ask who sent you, tell them, I am sent you. Thus, John makes a connection between Jesus and God. At the very least, today, John would have us understand Jesus to be identifying his own mission with God's will. One other thing makes this particular I am saying significant. In ancient times, shepherding was a standard metaphor for kingship. In short, we could hear I am the good shepherd as a claim to power, divine power, but not power the way the world tends to see it. Jesus subverts the whole world's idea of power, saying, the good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. When Jesus says he is the good shepherd, he uses a word that means many things. The Greek word that gets translated good implies a lot of things. It implies that which is ordered, sound, ideal, model, true, competent, faithful, and praiseworthy. So we could rightly call Jesus the model shepherd, or even the real shepherd. Historian Andrew McGowan, a dean and president of Berkeley Divinity School at Yale, notes that neither shepherds nor kings are expected to lay down life for the sheep. A good shepherd or king, that is to say, good in the expected sense, maintains the order and prosperity of the flock, but not at their own expense, and only because their own wealth and welfare depends on the flock, be it a literal flock or a political one. To say that the model shepherd, the real shepherd, lays down his own life is a radical overturning of conventional notions of power. And Dr. McGowan goes on to say, this subversion of the shepherd metaphor is an anticipation on Jesus' part of his own exchange with Pilate. Remember where Jesus states he has a kingdom, but that the world's notions of power cannot possibly comprehend it. Yet that is also he says what power is really like, because only love can offer real power. Only love can offer real power. Now that's an assertion to ponder long and earnestly. For now, suffice it to say, our model shepherd would lead us to self-giving service to each other. Remember how we heard in our second reading this morning, we know love by this, that he laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for one another. Now, I think that it is in no way wrong for us to pray that we may be spared from having to make the ultimate sacrifice for others. There are, in ordinary circumstances, many sacrifices to be made. There are myriad ways we can still be called to offer ourselves, to lay down our lives or some element of it. There are ways to die to something daily, be it to some privilege, to some dearly held preconception, to some way of avoiding risk or discomfort or embarrassment or even failure. Any of those things we might die to for the sake of others. We have a further call, and the call to the kind of dying I'm talking about extends beyond the circle of people just like us. Our Good Shepherd said he has other sheep that do not belong to this fold. He said it's his will to bring them also, and they will listen to his voice. The intention, we are told, is that there will be one flock, one shepherd. And this, at the very least, should tell us that it's not always and only about us. There are voices in this world that would have us think otherwise, and they would have us be afraid of anyone or anything that is other than familiar to us. There are those who promote fear of others for the sake of getting and maintaining worldly power. There are those who would divide in order to conquer by having us cling to narrow identities based on things like nation, class, race, or gender. And outside of ourselves, there are voices that say we can forget those others. And there are those voices that speak within us, the part of us that wants to think only of ourselves. And we must question and resist those voices. And remember that we simply can't continue to pursue such narrow forms of self-definition and survive as a species. We can't do it. And we can't do it if we want to come to know eternal joy with each other. And by each other, I mean not just us here, or not those in our part of this nation or our whole country. We're talking about the whole world, which has become so small. We are called to get over our discomfort and our limited perceptions, and instead focus on the voice of the one shepherd who would bring all flocks together, not on our terms, but on his. But let's remember that these are things we are not going to get over by ourselves, and we don't need to get over them by ourselves. We have help. We have a good shepherd. And there is the power of God, that power that is self-giving love. The good shepherd, the model shepherd, the real shepherd said this: I lay down my life in order to take it up again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down of my own accord. I have power to lay it down, and I have power to take it up again. He is the one we need to listen to and follow, because he is the one that gives us the power to take up our own lives of meaning and purpose. Let us then go onward, not only in this Easter season, but in all seasons. Let us move forward and take up our lives, listening and awakening to ways that we can open our hands and hearts, our very selves, in service to others. Let us seek to be servants to one another, and servants even beyond our own immediate circle. We are invited to do so with confidence because we belong to the Good Shepherd. That shepherd has promised to care for us and be with us no matter what. Christ, the Good Shepherd, has laid down his life. He has died and been raised. He is risen indeed. Alleluia.